Hello everyone, welcome back for more human physiology. So this video, which is going to focus on muscle tissue, as short as the last video was, this one might be even shorter, and really for the same reason. So there will be a future chapter that speaks exclusively about muscle tissue, so we're not going to go crazy into detail here, knowing that we will get a lot of those details in the future. So let's just kind of give ourselves a little appetizer here. So muscle cells, like neurons, are going to be excitable, which really means that they are capable of responding to an electrical stimulus. So that stimulus is either going to come from a neurotransmitter that is released from neurons that are communicating with these muscle cells, or from pacemaker activity, which you're probably familiar with, the idea of pacemakers in the heart. So this table that you're looking at details the differences and similarities between the three different types of muscle tissue: skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. All three of these muscle fibers are going to be excitable, but they're going to be a little different in terms of what they look like and how they work, where they're located, and so on and so forth. These differences and similarities will be parsed out a lot more in a future chapter. So there are three different types of muscle fibers, right? So skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. Let's just go ahead and get a little bit of an idea of how they're similar and how they're different right now. So skeletal muscle, as you are aware, is voluntarily controlled. As we will find out in a future chapter, skeletal muscles are under the control of a type of neuron called a somatic motor neuron. So because of that, we have voluntary control over them. Skeletal muscle fibers are also what are called striated, in which you can kind of see these little vertical white and dark stripes. It kind of makes it look like it's zebra striped, right? So those are what we call striated muscle tissues. What accounts for the striations, not to put everything off into a future chapter, but again, we will talk about that in the future. As we mentioned in Chapter 3, skeletal muscle fibers are an example of a cell that has more than one nucleus. So skeletal muscle fibers, one of their key characteristics is that they have multiple nuclei per individual muscle cell or muscle fiber. Cardiac muscle is, of course, located exclusively in the heart. It is involuntarily controlled, and we can be thankful for that because we would not want the responsibility of consciously making sure our heart is always beating. It's nice that that's kind of taken care of for us. Cardiac muscle is actually also striated, as you can tell from the leftmost kind of cartoony figure. Practically speaking, looking under the microscope, the striations are a little bit harder to see, but the fact that cardiac muscle and skeletal muscle are both striated in the future is going to tell us a lot about how similar they are in terms of their protein structure, in terms of how the muscle fiber is made up. One of the key characteristics of cardiac muscle tissue is the presence of these little dark vertical lines that separate one cardiac muscle cell from another. These are called intercalated disks, or eye disks. Eye disks are made up of a special type of junction protein called a gap junction, and as we are going to see in the future, that is going to be critical to the way that electrical stimulation can spread throughout cardiac muscle tissue so that we can get big sections of the heart pumping all at once. That's how we're able to effectively pump blood throughout the body. So the contractions of cardiac muscle are actually not determined by the nervous system. They are determined by what are called pacemaker cells that are collections of electrically active cells that are located within the heart itself. Although the contraction of the heart is not determined by the nervous system, it can be regulated by it. So the autonomic nervous system can actually tell the heart to either speed up or slow down in terms of how quickly it is pumping blood. However, the nervous system cannot stop the heart or start the heart. Only pacemaker cells can do that. And then finally, smooth muscle, which is also involuntary, is about as different from the other two as they could possibly be. For starters, smooth muscle is not striated, which is why it is called smooth muscle. So smooth muscle is going to be located in a number of different places like blood vessels. So when we talked before in a prior lab about how blood flow can be permitted or restricted by these processes called vasodilation or vasoconstriction, it is the contraction and relaxation of smooth muscle that either opens the blood vessel up and permits more blood flow or shuts it down and restricts blood flow. The contraction of smooth muscle is regulated by, similar to cardiac muscle, these groupings of cells called pace-setter cells. And similarly, these are going to be regulated by the autonomic nervous system in a very similar way. So in addition to blood vessels, smooth muscle can also be found in the digestive tract to help push digested material along. It is found in the iris of your eye, and that smooth muscle helps to regulate the diameter of your pupil in cases in which you are either exposed to very bright light or very dim light so that you're always able to see as efficiently as possible, and a number of other different places as well, and we will take note of those as we make our way through the semester. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this very short video on muscle tissue. Go ahead and join us next time, and we will start having lengthier discussions about epithelial tissue and then finally connective tissue. Bye-bye.